of material existence. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Jai Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai, Kapila Dev Devahuti ki Jai. All right, we stopped at the child who's crying helplessly with his superior intelligence lost as a baby, right? The baby is crying. Okay, we are starting from he is then given. Somebody likes to start reading?
I'm not able to see the small screen. 1 second. Okay. We are for the first line, right, Mataji?
No, the second paragraph. He is then given into the care of his guardian.
Okay. He is then given to the care of his guardians, but he cannot communicate his needs. He cries because he's hungry, but his carers think he has stomachache and give him bitter medicine. He must accept whatever he is given, even though he desires something else. It's a most unpleasant situation. Sometimes he soils himself and is obliged to lay on that contaminated bed. Although his tender skin itches terribly, he cannot scratch himself, nor get relief by sitting, standing, or even moving. As smaller worms bite a larger worm, grands, mosquitoes, bugs, and germs bite the baby's delicate body. Completely forgetting the wisdom he attained in the womb, he cries bitterly. He thus passes his first 5 years of childhood suffering all.
I have a question. Why babies can't scratch themselves?
Maybe the intelligence is not so much developed, right? They're just able to experience it, but the hand movement coordination for the hand to go to that place to scratch. And sometimes, most of the times, right, they're lying on their back. Say if something is scratching their back or their buttocks, right, the hand will not go to that position to do it. Right? Yeah, it is so sad. I'm just remembering, as soon as I read this, I remember so vividly Gaurav every time he's a small baby, but as soon as he used to soil, okay, and then he used to be like crying, and then immediately I used to attend to him, and then I'll put the warm diaper, and then immediately Gaurav used to be like, the crying will stop. He used to he was very much he could not take anything wet. It had to be dry and clean. So my thoughts are going to that, like how helpless they are. They can't do it. They cannot communicate. If you cannot understand what they want, especially that hunger thing also, it's so sad, right? They want food, but they're given bitter medicine, thinking they have a stomach. It's so sad. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so hard. And then I guess even if the best mothers in the world, it's hard to figure out exactly what the baby's feeling. If it's a biting, if it's what, right? It's quite difficult to.
And you know what? One more thing is coming to mind. This there's this old person, my relative, I think. And then they were like passing. They were in the hospital, and then they had a very bad experience. They came out, came back and they were telling all their close family members, you know, when I was in the hospital bed, I wanted this, and then the person, the nurse and the doctor were giving the other thing, something really not what I wanted. It was so difficult, and then they put the pipes and all. When I am dying, make sure you do this, and don't irritate me, and then don't try to, force feed me and all that. The way they were telling, because, and then they were telling, I knew even when I was so much conscious on the bed, I could not, say all these things. So just imagine when I'm dying, and then you people will be forcing, please don't do all these things. If at all that time when that time comes, and when if at all I'm in that kind of a situation, please don't force feed. Please don't do all these things. I was like, wow, right? See what happens in the baby time happens when the person is passing away too, right?
True. There are many devotees I know. They have this thing in their medical thing, like do not move, like means all that, like don't put me on machines. One proper disciple, Gyanagamya Prabhu, when he was passing away in Mayapur, he had this request that he should not be moved out of Mayapur, no matter what happens, and like that. So he was not taken, like, and he was getting sick and all. They didn't move him out of Mayapur because he wanted to leave the body in Mayapur. And if you leave to the medical people, they do all sorts of things. So there is this facility that people can, some people I think wear pendants, or I don't know, something to the hand, or I don't know how they recognize, but there are this kind of decisions that individuals make. So even if that person is reached to the hospital, then they cannot intubate them or do things like that. I mean, if they are bleeding or something, you can just put a bandage or something. But if they get a heart attack or so, they cannot do surgeries on them and all that.
That's so interesting. Yeah. Because at least they're like keeping up to their will, right? Whatever they have believed in, they'll at least be leaving their body the way they want it to. At least that luxury they have, some people.
Yeah.
Okay, next page is it? Okay, right. They are sorry.
Suffering all kinds of distress.
Yeah, kinds of distress. Even when he reaches the middle years of childhood, sorry, from 6 to 15, when he has more self-mastery, he continues to suffer. He may be forced to go to school he hates or study when he wants to play. Sometimes he craves something, but his parents will not get it for him. Forgetful of his real self, these frustrations give him misery and make him angry. As he becomes older, he is prone to spiritual degradation due to pride. He becomes angry and fights with other, similarly avaricious people. The root of his grief is that he foolishly misidentifies himself with his material body. He further compounds his problems by believing that anything associated with his body belongs to him. Although the material body is a source of constant trouble, he identifies with it because he has forgotten his real self-interest is to satisfy Krishna, and because of the force of his karmic destiny. Due, due to his misidentification, he continues to act in ways which further subject him to repeated birth and death. And I was just thinking like this I in my conception, right, which keeps binding as they keep growing. I mean, as a soul jiva keeps growing, it's so much more forced upon, and he himself just accepts it more and more and more. I am this body. If he keeps company with those who are merely interested in sense gratification, like eating and sex, he becomes sinful and once more descends to hell. Even if he is brought up as a religious person, by bad association, he loses all his good qualities like truthfulness, cleanliness, mercy, gravity, spiritual intelligence, shyness, austerity, fame, forgiveness, control of the mind, control of the senses, and all his prosperity. Devahuti wondered what was meant by bad association. Nice question, no? Kapila said, one should never associate with those who are sinful, violent, devoid of spiritual knowledge, and attached to sex, pleasure. The aspiring transcendentalist must especially avoid the association of those attached to sex. This attachment is the most dangerous, for it fully enamors one and keeps him bound in the cycle of repeated birth and death. Even Brahma was overwhelmed by lusty feelings on seeing his own daughter. She did not encounter him, but rather, taking the form of a hind, she fled. Still, he was so infatuated that he assumed the form of a stag and chased her. Among all the beings created by Brahma, only the sage Narayana is immune to the attraction by my illusionary energy in the form of a female. Just try to understand a woman's power. By merely moving her eyebrows, she can bring under her control great kings who have conquered the world. In this, no, I remember so well when you're reading this translation in the Bhagavatam.
Mm.
They talk about this queen. Oh God, I forgot her name. That this European history, Cleopatra. Yeah. So in
Mm.
the book, right, Prabhupada is talking about Cleopatra, how she controlled all the greatest men, the kings at that time, just because of her beauty, like that. Devahuti frowned in confusion. If a woman's association.
Sorry. I just wanted to make another comment that the power of the woman, it's not just about the body. It's also the feminine qualities, right? All those qualities that in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna also emphasizes that patience, intelligence, I guess compassion or kindness, I forget the qualities. But basically, when the feminine qualities are fully manifest in an individual, the man will become very submissive to that woman. One who
Oh.
is like very sweet and very kind and very like basically that makes the man feel special. That makes the man
Mm,
feel like his ego is massaged, etc. When
mm,
she pays attention to the guy, and she's of course beautiful and externally also, all these things makes a man helpless in
mm,
the sense that he's so stressed out and he's conquering the world and fighting the world, and he's often like so much on fire. But then when he comes into the association of the woman who is like sweet and gives him that look with her eyes and the eyebrows, and makes him feel comfortable, makes him feel understood, makes him feel like a hero, and this and that, then the man falls for her like that. It's also when we say beauty, it
mm.
includes the internal intelligence also of the woman, internal beauty and intelligence of the woman.
Wow, that's so beautiful. I never thought about it. I used to always think external beauty. That's what the opposite gender they fall for the external beauty, but then it's also this, right? Correct.
Maybe maybe initially they fall for it, but what
Mm,
maintains their love and attachment and all is the internal beauty. Because even I've
exactly.
seen, even practically I've seen women who are pretty on the outside, but
Mm,
internally they are not like kind or sweet or understanding or patient or these kind of things, and
mm,
also strong, the strength of their character. If they're not, then the man loses interest quickly. If she's very selfish and very proud and very demanding and this and that, and not really, if she doesn't have the basic feminine qualities of making him feel special, unless the
mm,
guy has severe dysfunctional thing that he is very attracted to the woman who is very bad or something like that. In
mm,
general, like powerful men like that, they need that soothing energy, because that's what they're lacking, no? Because they're always
mm,
fighting the world, so what they're lacking is that kindness, compassion. And I don't know, I've been thinking about how sometimes, in the I'm writing something like, and I was thinking about how men, being ruled by the sun energy, etc., they have a tendency to be burnt, because they have to show their best and they have to do their best and they have to compete and they have to be harsh and they have to be insensitive, and they have to they have to fight so much the world. And therefore, um, what they're really lacking is that space where they can relax. And that's what the woman does, makes the man feel relaxed, or that's what they are expecting from the woman. mm, the soothing energy, think of moon. What does moon do? It does give light, but it gives light in a very soft way, not in a sun way, not in a harsh way. Yeah. And they were,
That's so like
yeah.
such an excellent point. Excellent point, Mataji. I never thought about it. Also, there's some people who are like say like women, right? They kind of seduce other men, right? That is also with the help of the good qualities or with the external beauty. Some men get seduced, right? How is it again external beauty or is it internal?
I guess it's based on it's a case by case basis.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there may be a man who has a wife who's like um, too harsh and too selfish and not caring about the man at all. And then the man finds a woman who is sweet and nice. And men are not very, when it comes to falling for a woman, they're not so rational. You know what I mean? They may not
Mm-hmm.
think, oh, but this woman is this and that. They may just say, but she's nice to me. She's talking nicely to me. I remember this some movie. I don't know what it is. It's some short YouTube shorts. I had watched something. There's a woman, the wife, beautiful, pretty woman, like beautiful for her age and everything. And she asks the man, like, why? Why did you go with the other woman? Is she prettier than me? Is she skinnier than me? Is she more younger than me? And then, she asks all these questions that she's insecure about, right? She's bothered about. And then the guy just looks at her and he says, no, she's of the same age. She looks more or less exactly like you. And she says, why couldn't it be me? And then the guy says, because she's sweeter than you, because she's kinder than you, she's more understanding than you, and blah, blah, blah. I mean, that's a kind of a sinful video, but I'm just giving you the example that the men fall, when you said, what do they fall for? It depends on their situation. If the guy is just a nonsense and a sex addict guy, he'll fall for any woman in one sense.
Mm-hmm.
But if there is the need, if the need of the man is kindness and it's understanding of support or companionship, and somehow he doesn't get that from the wife, then he can fall for that. So whatever it is, and if the woman doesn't give, whatever the woman doesn't give, he may fall for that with the other woman. What I'm saying is there is not so much of a great science there. Just basic animal instinct can be, could sometimes it's this physical connection that a man falls for because he's not satisfied at home or something. And then sometimes it's emotional connections, like that. It depends on it's case by case basis. We can't say it's always one thing. We can't say, oh, it's always a prettier woman. I know cases where the woman that the man maybe falls for outside marriage she's not even, half pretty as the wife, you know,
Mm-hmm.
like that. So we can't be, it's not black and white. It's not the same for everyone. Plus, let's remember that it's not only men who fall for, even women sometimes fall for, like you said, the woman who has a need to seduce other men. Oh, that means she has some deep insecurity issues. She doesn't really have self-respect. And no, she has issues there. So there seems it's not only for men. The women also can try to prove oh yeah, there are men also. You asked, or do they fall for? There are men who just do it to try to prove to themselves that they can.
Mm-hmm.
You know, with
My God.
no strong reason. It's not like they want companionship or anything like that. They just want to prove that they can. They just want to prove that they're still attractive and they're still whatever, get the attention of the woman like that. Same
Wow.
thing with women also, I suppose. Women can also be like that. Try to just show that I'm young and I'm beautiful and I can do this. Some women can have that as well. Everything is basically because of lack of Krishna consciousness, lack of knowledge, lack of purpose, and they don't know as the purpose of life, so they fall for all this kind of situations.
Wow, that was such a beautiful explanation because I always thought it was the external, external appearance, but then the way you said is like, wow, excellent.
No, most of the times it's
Mhm.
not external appearance. Maybe in the very, very karmi world where this kind of intimacy is easily available and somebody sees somebody in the bar and they're drunk and then they fall for their external thing. But if it's a continuous relationship, which is, I'm saying, a little bit more of a even in sinful activities, there are, you can do it in a sattva gun, rajagun, tamagun. No, maybe not sattva. There are standards of sinful actions. Some people go for one night stands, things like that. Some people are into other whatever. Even amongst the sinful, there are different varieties of engaging in things. So there are people who are even in drunk, even the drunkards, right? The high class people who drink, they would drink very highly expensive drinks, etc. But they never get fully drunk. They don't kind of lose, and then the high class. I don't know what I mean by that, but you understand my.
Yeah,
The high class, when they drink, they go to sleep. The low class category of people who drink, they make a scene and they speak nonsense and this and that. That's the low class drunk. So there are even high class drunk like that.
wow.
I mean, I've seen this in Italy like that. Some people are like, they drink but they don't get drunk, but then they just go to sleep. They don't go and scream at their wives and children and make a scene, etc. They just go home and after drinking they go to sleep. And that was the goal of the high class drunk people who drink. They wanted to relax their mind and just go to sleep. But in India and all, we can see in the lower class, in the slums or something, the guy comes drunk and beats the wife and kids and does a scene, and that's very low class. Same thing can be said also for men who are weak with their resolve of staying loyal, etc. Why they fall for can be different reasons. Why they stay for can also be depending on their standard and their values, etc. I mean, a dharmic person will never do that, but Kali Yuga, very difficult. See that sentence? See what Kapila is saying? Marriage was recommended for men already attracted to women.
It helped regulate and limit their association. Wow. Like to make them basically to make them follow a dharmic way of life, because they're already attracted, correct, no?
Yeah.
However,
Working around your nature to keep yourself, keep moving further. Can't give up, but at least regulation.
Got it. Regulation. Wow, beautiful. However, the Brahman realized yogi who desires to attain Krishna must rigorously avoid attractive women, for they are declared by the scriptures to be the gateway back to the cycle of repeated birth and death. Such a yogi should not even accept service from a woman, seeing her as the Lord's illusionary potency. As a heedless man falls into a grass covered well, so the transcendentalist who is not cautious to avoid female association falls again into ignorance, forgetful of his true self. Devahuti's heart ached. Tears welled up in her dark eyes. Why were women portrayed as a man's enemy? Were they not spirit souls who could also be Krishna's devotees? Was she in?
Yeah, let's pause there. That question that you asked about, as a headless man, like the man, what they fall for, it's also based on varna. For example, a Shudra will be attracted to the physical form, because for Shudras, sex is the way for them to feel that connection. They don't have any other higher things to connect. And for a Vaishya, maybe he's attracted to a woman who's clever in business, and I mean, for him, what is attractive about a woman for a Vaishya might not be that she is physically attractive, but you're seen in these Marwari families and all. They'll marry these fat women. They're attracted. Even in Africa, I'm thinking they go and they put the woman through rigorous becoming fat procedures, where the woman becomes fat before her Swayamvara. Meaning, if she has big body, it's like an attractive factor, because then it indicates that she's very fertile and she can give birth to many babies, etc. Like that. So in Shudras, the physical attraction is a main factor. So if somebody is a Shudra, of course, he'll be attracted more to that physical aspect, element, sexual appetite, as Prabhupada says. Then if Vaishya, then he may be attracted to her skills of business and something. And then if somebody is a Kshatriya, he may be attracted by her boldness, by her courage, her ability to be generous, her ability to be like a queen, somebody who has those qualities of ruler, like a leader or something. Some men are not attracted to women who are too submissive, right? They are attracted to women who are fiery. So those probably are like the Kshatriya category or something. And then the Brahmanas, obviously, they don't care so much about the body. They care if she comes from a cultured family. They care about her character. They care about her ability to assimilate. Can she be a good mother who can educate my children? So Brahminical men are attracted to those qualities. So, I mean, if you're asking those who fall for before marriage, if they fall for after marriage, also these things can still be relevant. A man might be attracted to certain qualities that he really craves, which may not be there or whatever, So these things are good to be aware so that they can control themselves and they can, what was the word, regulate their cravings and keep it. Anyway, that's why in Vedic society, they would do compatibility to make sure that the man and the woman have similar values and interests. I remember years ago, one very nice astrologer, devotee in Mayapur, his name was Devarshi Prabhu. Some couple came to do charts and they were very Brahminical type of couple. And then they did not have certain compatibilities. And then I remember he said to the Prabhu, oh, don't worry, that, it was especially about sexual compatibility like that. And then the Prabhu was a little bit worried, and he said, oh, some other astrologers said to not marry because there is not that compatibility. And this Prabhu said, come on, that's for Shudras. Sexual compatibility is an important factor for Shudras. No, all these points, they're very, very relevant, because all this brings us to the practical considerations, such as who has, what is that? The Anuloma and Pratiloma marriages, right? In these days, it's happening often that the woman is more of a Brahmana or a Kshatriya, and the man is more Vaishya and Shudra. So there is problem there, because if the man is less intelligent and less in a Varna aspect, in the Varna ladder, he is Vaishya and Shudra, it becomes difficult for the woman to come down. Why that kind of marriage was not recommended? Because the woman has to lower her standards, which is easier for a woman to lower her standards. I mean, not easier, but it's easier for a woman to come up one level to match the husband's higher consciousness. It's beneficial and it's better and easier. But when the man is lesser and the woman is higher, then there is disruption, because she has to come down lower level, lower her standards. I mean, we know, right? Even in ISKCON, there are cases where the woman wants to follow all the principles and be more into devotional service, and the man is not so much into that. Like that, no? But it's obviously better. Like Kardama was a Brahmana, and Devahuti was a Kshatriya, and that marriage is all right. It is okay, because she's a Kshatriya who will come up to the Brahminical levels. And we could see Kardama, he was so sense controlled, and sense control is not so much of a Kshatriya thing, it's more a Brahmana thing. So like that, even in our situations, we could look at our marriages and see, is my husband more Brahminical than me? Or is it, what is the situation? If it is not, then we understand and we make peace. Okay, I'm more Brahminical, he's more Kshatriya type or whatever. And then we make peace that, okay, this is how it is. Then, we adjust. We adjust our external lives to not lower our standards internally, because we are devotees, we have our Guru Maharaj initiated. But at the same time, externally adapt and be harmonious, but internally to not lose that value and that compass. It's an art. It's an art to survive in this Kali Yuga, in relationships and all. It's an art. We can discuss this topic more in our Sunday meeting today. Yeah. You were saying something.
Yeah, so beautifully you said when you ended up with saying that it's an art, and I was just thinking that's the reason why we've always heard that saying, correct? Woman is the one who makes the home because she's the one who keeps every relation going on. Right? She's the heart of the house. She has the because she's the heart of the house because she has the art of keeping up all these relationships. She learns the art even if she doesn't, if she's not knowing before, right? Like there's so much willing to learn and do everything. So many women have seen in different cases, but yeah. There's certain some things I wanted to share, but then it's correct, so I can't share that now here. Yeah, so that's one point that I wanted to share. Like how, and one more thing, yeah, in the beginning part of it that you were saying, right? Like the Pratiloma marriage.
Yeah.
Pratiloma is like the good one, right? And the other one is the lower one, right? What's the other one?
Yeah. Anuloma. Yeah.
Aniloma is the lower one, right? When there is the woman is higher and the
Yeah.
man is lower.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So
nice.
I'm thinking the reason why the wife was supposed to be like so chaste and be like that and all that in a Vedic thing is like when she's dying, she thinks about the husband and leaves the body so that she'll get a man's body, which is supposed to be much more suitable for devotional service, like much more better, right? Like that. That was a thing. But now when we are going on, when this is happening so rampantly in Kali Yuga, the woman is like of a higher, like say, Brahminical nature, and the man is like say Shudra, Vaishya nature kind of thing. She's so attached, she will definitely think about him and die. What'll happen? She'll be born like as in a man's body, but instead of Brahminical, she'll become like a, bra- a
Yeah.
man who's like a Shudra, right? Like that, our whole Kali Yuga, in this whole thing, more Shudras are getting generated and populating our earth, and then that's how the whole degradation is happening more and more because of this kind of marriages that are prevalent in our society. I was just thinking
Yeah.
like that.
Good point. Yeah. Why we think, I mean, that's why I was saying, like, I learned from my grandmother that externally you can tolerate and adjust, but internally you don't have to become so deeply attached that we think of that person at the time of death, especially with all the Krishna conscious training we have and the Sangha we have, right? We should navigate and understand all these beautiful principles so that we don't lose this opportunity. And I have seen, I mean, Kali Yuga, right? This is what my grandmother is 86, 85, 86. So she is, this is this century. And even in this century, this thing is happening that she was definitely way more Brahminical. And my grandfather was more the kind of Kshatriya, a little unhealthy Kshatriya, I suppose. And so she had to navigate her attachments, her values and things, And I remember, even when my grandfather died, by the way, my grandfather is dead and she's still alive. When my grandfather died, he had some kind of, I don't know, open heart surgery, something happened. And yeah, she was not like happy or anything, but she didn't lose her sense of, some like those women, those times when they had no jobs and they were depending completely on the husband and all. When the husband dies, they feel a complete sense of loss of whatever, but she didn't. She kept her thing. She's like that, which is because of Krishna consciousness. She had a higher attachment like that. So I've seen that area example as well. I mean, there are many cases of where the man is not so qualified and the woman is, and how she navigates through the life. She can become very strong and detached internally. Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. Just like your grandmother, I was just thinking about my father's mother. My God, even though the husband passed away, she did not know about Krishna consciousness or anything, just like a normal, housewife. But when he died, also, when she used to come to our house to have like stay over. I remember when we serve, my mother used to serve her prasadam, not prasadam, or like bhoga. Not, I'm saying any prasadam and bhoga, like lunch. She used to make sure she'll keep some rice, something in her own plate, like as though it's for her husband, and then only she'll eat the rest of it. Like, why do you do that? "No, this is for Tata." Like, she was so chaste. Like first time she used to always serve her husband, then only she used to eat, no? So even after he left, in her own plate, she used to separate it, and that part, some food used to be put over there. And then just eat the rest. I used to be like, wow, like, It used to be like very surprising, her kind of behavior. But today, what you're saying, it's just all coming together.
Yeah,
That
they will go to the
empathy.
same place as the husband is because they are chaste. My
Mm.
other grandmother, my paternal grandmother also, she's very, very loyal, very chaste, very sweet, humble nature, character. And so was my grandfather, my dad's father. When he passed away also, my grandmother was so loyal, and my husband would always say, she'll go where, when she left her body, he said, she'll go where the husband is. And my grandfather was very Krishna conscious. He would chant 16 rounds in Shaligram Puja, and he was super Prabhupada Anuga. But my grandmother was not practicing Krishna consciousness. But still, my father said, my husband said, she will go where the husband is, because she's so chaste and attached to the husband. See, that was
Wow.
the idea. When you're
Mm.
attached to your husband, you go where your husband is. So if the husband is less advanced than the wife, then she will go where the husband is. That's why
Mm.
the Anuloma marriage was not recommended. Better to
Correct.
go where better to be attached to a husband who's more devotional, more Krishna conscious. But anyway, that has its own challenges as well. My husband is way more Krishna conscious than I am, and it has its own challenges. In the material world, there's no perfection. There's always like a gap. He's so much more Krishna conscious, and I find it difficult to catch up and like that. Yeah. Okay.
Mm.
Let's see the time. I think it's time to stop here, and then we'll continue Devahuti's heartache, as she's thinking why women are portrayed as man's enemy. I think we should discuss that tomorrow.
I'll miss it. Tomorrow is Sunday, right? Yeah, I'll miss that. And the other recording.
Yeah.
It'll be an interesting class, I'm sure.
Very interesting.